said that you had come up with some indication for the ideas already.
Yeah, I think it was the most effective to just show you right now. Show you.
Is it okay if I fold this so they don't see that part? Okay.
So here it is. I can send these to you on a photograph as well.
Okay,
Okay,
so the
so
yield, the first one, yield, we would say is A.
Yeah, leave
The
it there.
push, and is that an arrow going into the
Yeah.
large? Okay. And that would
Yeah, because I can
push
switch it away towards something.
is
or away
B.
from something.
Yield and push is C.
Oh, you know what? Okay, maybe I need to have the arrow there for this. Anyway, let's continue, and then.
And then reach. Is that an arrow into an open circle?
So that center of levity, just often because push generally goes in through the center core of the body, weight center, and reach often is initiated from the upper, not always, of course.
And then pull would be E. Reach and pull.
And then what's the very bottom one? There we go.
Oh, these were our things here that we thought about if you wanted to
Put them together.
put them together as a phrase, vertical riding or reach and yield and push, reach and pull.
And that would be
Okay. One more thing. And that is, if we want to put them to, instead of having a separation between that little curved thing, that we could put it, I realize that this symbol Anne Hutchinson has some symbols that are very similar to this. But anyway, that's another possibility as a conglomerate symbol. Okay, Colleen has something that she wants to say.
Yeah, Meaden is just listening in on the background, and I think that it's important that we claim that the idea of yield came from Bonnie Bainbridge Cohen.
just the idea of yield.
Well, I think the yield, push, reach, pull phrase is part of the BMC tradition and legacy, and so it's not something that we've made up at IMS, but that we're taking from Body Mind Center.
That's right. And in 1990, at the All-Cert faculty meeting in Hampshire College in Massachusetts, we agreed as a fundamentals faculty, Martinia fundamentals faculty, in the CERT programs to use Bonnie's aspect of yield and push to reach and pull. And because it felt that it really gives like a way to really understand how to send proprioceptive sensation into the center of the body and out from the center of the body away into space. And so we made a conscious decision as a LIMS All-Cert faculty to go ahead and use Bonnie's work there because it's so process oriented and so beautiful and so just very powerful when people can find that for themselves. Right. And for instance, it changes the idea of what a plie is. It changes the idea from going out to a leap, because you can have somebody that only uses the yield and push and then they never travel through space, or somebody who uses only the reach and pull in a leap and they just keep landing almost underneath themselves after going into the air. You know, things like that. So one of the things that happened when I wrote my book is that I sent it to Bonnie Bainbridge Cohen to review because I wanted to know what she thought. And she had recently started teaching she had started, instead of just calling it push, pull, which they used to do in physical therapy and occupational therapy. They had added the yield and push, reach and pull, and in the BMC work. And this, so one of the great things about computer programming is that by that time, I had my book on computer, and I could just go in and wherever I had push, I had it changed to yield and push, and reach and pull for the full. And so that was one of those things computer programming made much more simple, and I felt much better about it because it was giving the sense of the. Anybody else have anything you want to say about that? Brendan said he thinks that the reach and pull symbol written separately on the paper needs the open circle at the top. I think that's just what
I think maybe it was
I don't.
I think it was maybe what you intended, but it was just the
Could you write that and show us what you mean?
Yeah, so I think it should be, in order to maintain consistency with the other symbols you wrote, I think this is what you meant.
Yes, thanks, Brenton.
Yes.
Wait, leave it up there for me.
Yeah, thank you, Brenton. That is absolutely what was meant.
Okay. So that way if you cut in half
Yeah.
the combined symbol, you cut
Are these, is that what you did here?
Yes.
Yeah, thanks, Brenton, for that correction.
Just proves that multitask. At least I can't while I'm thinking theoretically.
Yeah, no problem.
G and
Everyone
H.
got it? Yes. Okay.
All
Going
right.
back to hiding.
Yeah.
Have you used these indications yet in your teaching, and have you been, or is this something that you've been thinking about, or have you used them and used them in the context of notation yet, of motif notation?
Well, I mean, I this is Cadence. So I was first. It's cold in my office, so I put the hat on. Colleen and Brenton and I were playing around with these in our October session just a couple months ago, because Colleen's been playing around with elements of these symbols for a while. It's fast writing, so we were experimenting with each other and kind of trying to put these together. So I haven't used them fully yet, but maybe Colleen, you have some ideas of how you've been using them.
Yeah, I haven't put them into a motif per se, but I could see them as, I mean, I'm not quite sure if I see them as a pre-sign or as something that is better in like a theme bow. But I do.
In what bow? I'm sorry?
Theme bow.
A theme bow. I have been using them mostly in my notes that I take. So if I'm preparing for a class and the theme is yield push or yield, that's where I first really started using them. They've gone through different permutations, sort of in my own private development of them. And then once I showed them to Brendan and Cadence and I spoke about them in October, and then Peggy and I were just working on them right before the call this morning. And so they've all stayed all the permutations have stayed in the same sort of general realm. But with variations on what's curved, what has an arrow, what's filled in, what's not filled in. So I think that's the quickest answer. Some of the students have been shown them, but they're not using them because they're made up, right? They've been kind of my private proprietary code until recently.
So at this point, it's still in the proposed, concept idea stage, and you have to begin somewhere, right?
I have a question. Brenton, you referred to these two symbols, which I labeled I and J.
Hold it closer.
Right.
Do they, I noticed the arrows in the opposite direction as F, for example.
Let's see.
Yeah, you were making a correction, right?
I was correcting. Well, what I did was I put the open circle.
Yes.
They had intended that circle to actually be at the top of the arrow, at the arrowhead, rather than at the arrow tail.
That's right.
So
Yeah, that was a mistake on our end.
I was
Oh, I
correcting
see.
what.
F is wrong then.
correct.
Yes.
Okay.
That's right.
Thank
That's
you.
right.
I first saw the corrected one, it would be E, I believe, wouldn't it?
E had no arrow at all. That was pull.
That's the one that needs to be corrected.
Well, E does not have an arrowhead.
Now that, what you guys did is correct. You crossing out F and replacing it with
Yes.
B.
Yes.
Because then, and you'll see that's true, because then if you slice G in half
Right.
vertically,
Yes.
then you get that piece.
I understand, yes.
Peggy, could you, when we finish, if you just make a snapshot I don't know if you could scan or make a picture or something and just send it to me as an attachment, just as an added, thing for us. Did you hear me, Peggy?
Yes, I did, thank you.
Okay, great, that would be great. I think, maybe one thing that,
I need it.
two things from my perspective. I think that one of the ways that symbols develop well is, yes, to do what's happening now. You come up with first of all, to clarify what the concept is, and it sounds to me like there's, at this point, obviously you've been teaching concept for quite a while, and that feels pretty strong, but then, yes, come up with the symbols, but one doesn't really know if the symbols work. The next stage is to actually use them in the context. For me, this is important, unless you're gonna just, use them individually, but to use them within the context of notation, LABA notation, motif notation, so you see, there are all sorts of things that you realize, the symbol's too big, it interferes with other symbols, all sorts of things.
Gets confused with some of the
How do
symbols.
I show duration in a way, can I, for example, with these symbols, if I put it in a thematic indication, in a thematic bracket, which I'm assuming when you said the theme bow,
Right.
what you were talking about was, what number, what letter is this, so are we at?
We're at K.
K, if you're talking about this,
Yes.
okay, I don't wanna get into I assume that you're using it in the same way that we're using it to mean, something that predominates in over a certain span of time, but it doesn't necessarily have to occur the whole time, but there may be time, so that shows duration, but it shows duration in a certain way.
Yep,
And
that's right.
as opposed, but then what you're gonna probably also wanna consider is, what if I wanna make sure, just like in effort notation or shape quality, I'm trying to use my terms in the way that you guys are, so I might do this, and this is L. All right, so
Right.
now you know that when we hold these things up that it's reversed.
Yes, but wait a minute, the thing, around that particular one is that we say that the one on the I on the right,
The L.
should be the same as an addition bow.
Yes.
That the one with the theme bow doesn't have to be there all the time, but the one with the addition bow and the effort symbol at the bottom of the addition bow means add it every single moment of this time, which is why.
Exactly, so
the one
that's,
with the
exactly, I
line.
mean, there's another, what you're talking about, and then that's a whole other discussion, whether or not we can use addition bows, but that's a whole other topic, but let's say, when I'm understanding you to do M, it should be the same way, but anyway, is that from your perspective, this and this say the same thing, right?
Correct.
And, but the point, right, and the point I'm trying to make though is,